Buckle up. We got an epic quarterback showdown in Columbia at Williams-Brice Stadium. Oh, Willie B. Let's get it.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in. It is a college crossover edition of the Locked On Podcast. Here's the Locked On College Crossover. Joining me from Locked On Gamecocks is Chris MARLER, and I am Corey Burton of Locked On Vandy. Chris, it's so great to run it back. We did this about a month ago. I know you've got some hot takes as well, man.
I just have takes this time, and I have a voice. Last time you did me the biggest solid. I had no voice. Anybody that watched the show, I was over here just lozenge after lozenge. I still have the bag right next to me just for old time's sake. I'm fired up, dude. I'm fired up.
Souvenirs, man. But this episode is brought to you by Mazda. This Mazda, like our players, we treat every detail because when every move counts, you make every move counts. Pulling it off unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Move in the Game Forward. Mazda, move or be moved. So we got an epic showdown here. And if you would have told me this back in last year, coming into this year, that we would be talking about this matchup in this manner, I would say you're probably crazy. But DIEGO Pavia versus LANORRIS Sellers, must-see TV. This is the story of the matchup here. Two great quarterbacks. LANORRIS Sellers, probably the best, arguably the best in the entire country. DIEGO Pavia, he's climbing up the ladder after that performance in Blacksburg. So, hey, we got an epic showdown here. First SEC matchup for both teams, and man, I'm excited. So, when you look at LANORRIS Sellers, the thing I noticed, the thing that jumped out to me when I was watching South Carolina, when I was evaluating the situation, I noticed it's like, okay, well, you have LANORRIS Sellers, you have this Ferrari of a quarterback, right? And I've said all week, it's not really LANORRIS that I'm worried about for y'all. It's the coaching, as far as like his development, as far as like trying to figure out what you want to actually do with LANORRIS Sellers as quarterback. It just seems like they're just trying to feel their way through this offense and trying to figure it out on the run. And it looked great at times. It looked shaky at times. It's kind of like a roller coaster. It's
weird because it's like they've played 3 games now with Shula, and he's had 17 points in every single game, dating back to the bowl game last year. So from the offense, like 17 against Illinois, 17 against Virginia Tech, 17 against SC State. Now, I keep thinking this, and I hope that I'm right. And I'd be shocked if it wasn't something somewhere in between what my belief is versus like maybe my fear is. And that is, I would have to assume they haven't unveiled the entire offense yet. And ideally, like you and I both know this, like just the way the season plays out, we see this a lot of times. I keep saying it with Kirby. Kirby Smart does a really good job over the past several years, especially in some of those championship years where they don't like show all the wrinkles to the offense. They are very vanilla early on. They save stuff throughout the year, and it's a much bigger picture type mentality from week 1 to the end of the season. I'm not saying that's what Shula's doing, but I do feel like they knew going into this year, or felt confidently at least, they're going to be able to get to the first 2 games and not have to show a lot of their hand. And I hope that's the case. I hope I'm not just making this up in my head with my own inherent bias or something. Like I hope that's exactly what's happening. But I do think that the thing that is the most dangerous part of his game, no matter what you roll out there and what you unveil and what you try to plan on either side, it's how he is when he's unpredictable, and how he is off script, how he is like when he gets out of the tackle box, like how he is like when he's like able to break a few tackles. You saw Missouri's the best example. I always go back to that game. Like Clemson's obviously a big one, but Missouri is the best example because you saw time and time again, especially on that last drive, him getting out of like defender's grasp and then being able to use his legs to bring like people, whether it's a safety or a linebacker, off whoever they're guarding. Someone's open, or he can run with his legs. He's very dangerous when he's off script.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the most frightening part of his game. But like, I just feel like we would see some form of an identity, at least, not necessarily throwing out all the wrinkles, because every team saves a few wrinkles for the opponent so they can give them something that they haven't seen.
Right.
Vanderbilt certainly got a couple up their sleeve, I'm sure.
Like what, Corey?
Like
Something involving Diego Pavia.
Yeah, it's going to be Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers. I mean, it's a deep, dark secret, right?
Right.
So, but to me, you can, with a lot of teams, even though they're being vanilla, even with Georgia, in your example, even when they're being vanilla, you know what they want to do.
Right.
An idea of how they want to attack. Without a shadow of a doubt that they're holding back a little bit. They're sandbagging a little bit. But with South Carolina, I just didn't get that feeling. And I hate to see LaNorRIS Sellers get wasted away throughout the season with them trying to figure it out. The Clemson game plan was masterful. The Missouri game plan was masterful. And the last thing I noticed about Virginia Tech was when they were on the script, like the first 15.
Yeah. Oh, man.
They were masterful.
Yeah.
On script. And then it just, once they got off script, they were just kind of like, okay, now what?
Right.
And that's the feeling I got. And against Clark Lee, which he's a defensive genius, say what you want to him about as a head coach, but he's a defensive genius. He's not one that you want to try to figure out what's next.
No, and I think the biggest thing too with South Carolina is I'm going to make a bold prediction here, and I think it's the way they need to win this game. Everyone's expecting South Carolina to be South Carolina. And that is what they were last year. Run the football. Rocket Sanders last year, 15 carries, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns, whatever the numbers were, right? You saw it in the first week. You brought up a great point. Virginia Tech, you go right down the field, hot knife meets butter, and you are in the end zone, and we're just screaming and hollering, beating our chest. Then, you had 8 carries for 9 yards to the running backs in the next however many series. And that it very much feels like sometimes we're banging our head against the wall and trying to be something they're not. I think you might see LaNorRIS Sellers come out here. This is going to sound crazy to some people, and I could be wrong. I think you're going to see LaNorRIS throw the ball 30 times in this game. I think they're going to come out and either use him to where he is the guy and he wins you this game, or he comes out and throws the ball 30 times. And I don't know if that's the recipe for success, but I do know that running into the teeth of a Clark Lee defense probably isn't the recipe for success. And it's what they were able to do well last year. But so far through 2 games, whether it's just been the vanilla blocking schemes or whatever, Lonnie Teasley's bunch up front, the offensive line has not been able to open a lot of holes. And I think you'll still see, they're not going to just forget about the run. But I do think that the way they win this game is by doing something that is unexpected. And I think that's what they might end up doing to kind of throw Vandy off, because no one's expecting that, right? Like everyone's expecting them to do what they always do, which is, hey, let's get some easy throws early. Let's try to get the tight ends involved on some dump passes, something short in the intermediate range, and then we'll try to get the run game going. And I tell you what, man, without getting too much into our predictions, the key to this whole thing isn't just the quarterbacks. In my opinion, the key is who's going to be in short distances on third down. Who's going to be in manageable? Who's going to be ahead of the chains versus being in third and long or second long and stuff like that? And Vandy has been masterful at that so far.
Yeah, it's going to be the best team that wins first and second down. It's going to be who can get themselves either from second down to first down or from second down to third and 3 or less.
Yeah,
because both teams are extremely dangerous in those situations. Both teams can really light you up, can really eat clock that way. And they can really just drive this game and drive this, for Vanderbilt, going on these long drives, right? And for me, a big key to that is to get that Willie B crowd out of it. Yeah. Is on their first possession, go on a 12-play march down the field. And you don't even have to score a touchdown. Just go on a 12-play march and get points.
Oh, I thought that's what Virginia Tech was going to try to do, which I thought going into the season, I thought that one of the things you were going to see teams do, Virginia Tech last year, man, they ran the ball on 58 or 59% of their plays. And Kyron Jones throwing the ball 35 times is not a recipe for success for that offense. So you guys saw the same thing, right? But then you saw the second half, and I was blown away by the box score, of course. I watched the game. I thought it was incredible, and it was a great halftime adjustments. But looking at the box score, it's oh my God, it was as dominant as I thought. They held them to 22 total yards or 21 total yards in the second half. But part of that's because Virginia Tech didn't have a chance to do anything. Vandy put their foot on their throat and was Boa Constrictor just sucked the life out of him, had the ball for 22 of the final 30 minutes. And the biggest thing, too, Corey, is Vanderbilt came out, went down the field, and scored. Virginia Tech got the ball, 3 and out. Vandy got the ball, scored again.
3 and out.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Vandy got the ball, scored again. Virginia Tech gets the ball again, 3 and out. So now you've got 6 plays, and you've punted twice. You have negative yards. I think they had like 6 plays for 4 total yards or something like that. Like in the first,
they had at one point they had minus 14 yards.
That's
going into the fourth quarter,
right?
In the second half, it's like ridiculous,
right? And so and that's a credit to what good teams do. They make the halftime adjustments, and Clark Lee, and that's what good coaches do. And he did a phenomenal job in this game. I think the thing that I kept thinking going into the season that some teams would try to do, I think that Vandy has a very good chance of being the perfect example of that, which is your best defense is your offense, and keeping LaNorRIS Sellers on the sideline, he cannot hurt you if he's not in the game. And Vandy did a great job with that.
And that's the biggest key for Vandy. Hold the ball.
Yeah.
Right. Go on these long drives, even if you don't score.
Right.
Go on a 6-play, 7-play drive if you have to punt, because you're going to be in a position to flip the field and make LaNorRIS drive, 85 plus yards. Make them drive too. Like, don't give up chunk plays. Don't give up explosives. I mean, that's basic football. Don't give up explosives and things like that. So I'm not giving anything earth-shattering here. But, for DIEGO Pavia, it's win on first down, win on second down, convert.
Yeah.
And just make those plays and do what he does. Don't try to be too aggressive. I mean, Vanderbilt's going to push the ball down the field more this year. That's just what they want to do. They want to be more of a vertical presence, and with Trey Richardson, they can be.
Yeah.
So they have to, and the crowd. I don't know how quickly this will happen, Chris, but the crowd, if Vandy strings together a couple of massive drives and they get points, I think your crowd will be kind of like, oh, we're in for, and it might not be quite as crazy, with the towels waving and the sandstorm and just the frenzy. But I've said on my show all week, one of the biggest keys for Vanderbilt's defense and Vanderbilt's offense, really, the whole team, is how do you respond to South Carolina's first drive? Because South Carolina is going to rip it down on that first drive. They're going to rip it down the field, and they're going to get points. Probably 7. If they get the ball first with that atmosphere, I think they're going to get set. I think they're going to get a touchdown on the first drive. So it's how do you respond to that?
Yeah. Jack me up over here. I'm fired up. Probably better phrasing than that, but no, I think I'm fired up about that, because I do think this fan base is fired. This fan base is fired up, and I tell you what, Corey, there's nobody for Vanderbilt that's doing themselves any favors, right? In terms of like, there's no one for Vanderbilt that's calming the storm beforehand. Like they are adding more and more fuel to the fire. Like maybe it pays off. I will tell you right now, the last time I remember a Vanderbilt offensive lineman openly talking trash, specifically going into a week 3 game against an SEC opponent, it didn't go well. Now Nifo Leale, I forgot his name, the big guy from 2017 for the Bama game. But I mean, he's not there anymore, obviously, but I do think they're playing with fire a little bit, because this is a really good team. It's a team that's beat you for 16 straight years, and it's a team that has really, even last year, with how good that Vanderbilt team was, and I know it's last year, and I know Vandy fans will be upset about that, but this is a one of these, put your hand on your little brother's forehead and have him swing his arms trying to get to you type situation from the rivalry standpoint. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know what? We're gonna continue on with that, because we got a lot to talk about as far as environment, DIEGO Pavia, how teams are going to stop each other. There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
We're going to continue doing that next. Hey, but first, this episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep moving the game forward. So this week's moment that moved the game forward is, for Vanderbilt's perspective, it's the entire second half of the Virginia Tech game, just dominated from the opening whistle and went on to rattle off 34 straight points. Chris, what is it for South Carolina?
Oh, man, what is it for South Carolina? I think the big thing is it is getting ahead of the chains, like we said, and also winning the turnover battle. This team wins 78% of the games under Shane Beamer when they win the turnover battle.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to move crowd. That's going to move that culture, and that's going to be all of that. So what you follow, what moves you. The unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved.
I like move or be moved. I like the or in the last one.
That is great, or that's a great saying. And speaking of great sayings, if you need a third listen after you listen to both of our shows, Locked On SEC with Chris Gordy is not a bad place to go.
No.
Any show in the family of SEC shows on this network is never a bad place to go. You're never going to go wrong. So enjoy the whole family of shows here, but especially enjoy Chris on Locked On Gamecocks, and of course me here, Locked On Vandy. So make sure you like and subscribe both of our shows. And man, your guys have been in the comments pretty good. So it's been
I heard.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. So
I didn't send them after you, just so you know. I didn't send them, but I'm glad they're there, and you deserve it after the. I hope they're being nice. I hope they're being respectful, because you're my boy, and I don't want them being, you know how some YouTube comments get. But no, let's get, dude. Yeah. I'm going to start the second part, because I feel like you
go for it.
You had a lot of this last time, and I was shocked. I don't know why I was shocked, but I was shocked that you picked Vandy. Turns out you know what you were talking about, because Vandy was obviously it's a very, very trendy pick right now. As far as you brought this up earlier, the part of the game that is like, it feels cliche and it's like very obvious, and it's like, well, you know, if they win this, if they stay ahead of the chains, whatever. I do think that is the story here, and like. It's not sexy. It's not anything like that. But the three keys that I have for winning this game: whoever wins the explosive, whoever wins the turnover battle, and whoever wins the early downs, like you said. And that is obviously usually a recipe for winning football. Mm-hmm. But I think that like being ahead early on these downs, like last year in this game, one of the things that South Carolina was able to do, they were 9 of 12 on third downs. The game that everyone loves to talk about with Vandy, where I look at like against Alabama last year. What won that game? Because it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't some weird crazy thing that happened. They lined up and beat them. Like they lined up and beat Alabama. They were 9 of 13 to start the game on third down. I think they were like 9 of 9 or something crazy to start. Yeah, but that whole thing, I remember tweeting out, I was like, well, surely Vandy won't go 80% the entire game, from on third downs. I think they went 70. But being able to get ahead and being in 3rd and 4 versus 3rd and 9. I think that will be huge. Like I said, I brought this up before during the break, the turnover battle. South Carolina winning the turnover battle. And I think it's even bigger when it comes to this team, because this team led the country last year in terms of the least amount of turnovers of any team in the country. Only 7 on the whole year. I mean, there's some quarterbacks playing, like Zach Calzada will probably do that in one game at some point this year. So like this secondary trying to figure out how to pick off DIEGO Pavia, like all those things. I think winning the turnover battle, just because it's such a drastic difference for South Carolina as a program under Shane Beamer, when they're able to win that, their win percentages skyrockets, and that's not always the case. But being around 80% when that happens is huge. So it's also that is a immovable object, like unstoppable force type situation, because this is a Clayton White defense that has led the SEC. In turnovers forced for the last 4 years combined, and a Vandy offense that rarely gives it up. And then finally, man, I do think special teams comes into play, but I think the biggest thing is the explosives. And DIEGO Pavia last year in this game, he had 5.4 yards per attempt. That was the second lowest of any game he played all year, and only in the Texas game was he any lower. But that versus where he was the rest of the year was very different. That versus where he is this year, when he leads the SEC in yards per attempt, when he's second in yards per play at like 9.23 yards per play, he's been awesome so far. They have got to figure out a way to keep him in long distances on third downs and make sure he is not able to hit on some of those explosive plays.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, a lot of people like to try to overthink everything,
right,
and try to come up with that one key that nobody's thinking about. And ultimately, those keys never really matter. Honestly, those are the keys that just like, maybe it might not ever come up. Like, people don't want to acknowledge the obvious, because that's not
sexy.
As a podcaster, it's not the sexy thing to do.
Right.
It's not the, it's not the, he knows ball, because
right.
It's winning the obvious situation. It's doing who does simple the best. is what it's gonna come down to. Who does simple the best? Who blocks and tackles the best?
Yeah.
And who executes? Because you have two great defenses, two great defensive minds going against each other. You have two great quarterbacks battling, one who has a clear identity and the other who presumably is trying to figure it out. Maybe they have something up their sleeve. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like this is going to be quite the battle. And
I don't mean to interrupt. I think it's the best game of the weekend. I will be at LSU Florida for part of it. I've already kind of set up in the press box where I'm right next to the TV, and I'll be able to have both set up. But because I have to do both jobs, which will be pretty sick. LSU Florida, Georgia Tennessee. You and me are the same, around the same age. Where it's like we grew up with those games being like massive battles. Now you get what do you call it? Arkansas and Ole Miss, like that. That's a very fun game and a highly ranked team. Like for Ole Miss, like. But what's up, Huck? I think the same thing, dude. Like I think this is the most evenly matched game. And I tell you what, I think what you were saying, whoever does simple the best, is such a great way to look at this. Because I think there's a lot of truth in that for one. And then also, like, I think they're the two most evenly matched teams that are playing this weekend. I think they're also a situation where, like, I think both these teams are better than Florida. I think both these teams might be better than Ole Miss. I think both these teams might be better than Arkansas. And like Georgia and Tennessee is someone that grew up in this region and loved, hearing the stories about Herschel Walker and watching the Peyton Manning days and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's awesome. But I think the best game in the conference this weekend is in Williams-Brice Stadium.
Yeah, Willie B's hosting it, man. We gotta love it, man. It's gonna be towel waving. The crowd's gonna be jacked up. They're always jacked up, man. And I made a comment about this on last night's show, like, because I talked about the impact of this game and what it means for Vanderbilt, and to go into an environment like that where you have a fan base that's so rabid, it doesn't matter if they suck. They at one point in the early 2000s they were 0-12, 0-11, or whatever when they were still playing only 11 games. Like they had some lean
sold out
in SEC play, but it always sold out. Like, it's always packed. They're always there. And to me, you go in and win a game like that, even though South Carolina is not one of those programs where you're listing upper echelon SEC programs and South Carolina's right there on the tip of your tongue, it's still a program where it means something if you can win that game. And
I think that both teams also are at a precipice of like for each program where it's like they're trying to take the next step, and I think they're doing that. Like I think we're watching both of these Listen, I think South Carolina, the talent that they're bringing in, like the players they've been able to bring in and develop, especially how they haven't missed in the portal. Like I'll go on, and I don't think it's me being biased. I think you're seeing them turn the corner where they're trying to be like an 8 to 9 team every year, like where that's like the floor. What I watched on Saturday for Virginia Tech and Vandy is like, I don't think that was a one-off for the game. Like, I think this is what this program is starting to be. So everyone's looking at this and kind of like dismissing, like, oh yeah, it's Vandy in South Carolina. It's a former 2 bottom dwellers of the SEC East or whatever. That's not who these teams are anymore. That's not who these programs are anymore. And I think that the winner of it is going to have a really, really good chance at making a very good bowl game or potentially a college football playoff. And the loser of it is still going to be a very, very good team that's going to contend for stuff or for something in this conference.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and win or lose, I think Vanderbilt's in a good place unless they get completely blown out. Which I don't think that's on the table, truthfully, because I think both these teams are good enough that no one's going to blow out the other.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a highly competitive match, probably fairly low scoring because of the ball controlled nature of it.
Yeah,
and the defensive fronts for both teams are unbelievable. So this is going to be something that I'm excited about. And given all the games this weekend, this is one that I was like, oh, this is like, if you'd have told me that you had Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Florida, Ole Miss, Arkansas, A&M, Notre Dame, and you had Vandy, South Carolina, and you're circling that one, like, I would have said, nah, man, that's crazy.
Right.
That's just a end of the night, just throw it on while you're cooking dinner and, just check in on it. But it's going to be crazy. So how are we going to pick this game? What do you think? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Hold the phone. We're going to talk about it next. Are you hungry?
I'm starving.
Starving, yeah. So it's almost the weekend, man. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. So I'm gonna let you crown a South Carolina MVP from last weekend. So just like every Saturday, you can win with DoorDash Streaks, saving you more with every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down, man. So who's your choice?
Oh, it's easy to say Bakari Swain. Two touchdown returns in the what do you call it? In the punt return game. I phrased that horribly. But I'm going to give it to somebody else in the same unit, special teams. Mason Love, leading the SEC right now in punts, because Bakari Swain deserves a ton of accolades, and he's gotten a lot of accolades. And I don't want to leave Mason Love out in the cold here. So I would give him my player of the week last week.
Well, they both came through, no hesitation, no delay, and when the pressure was on, it seemed like they just continued to elevate their game. And you've been watching week after week, and that performance wasn't a fluke. So those guys are definitely on a streak. And just like Bakari Swain and all the guys you named, the entire South Carolina team, really, DoorDash delivers for you on Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period good through November 18th. And Chris, a topic for all of us, especially in Baton Rouge, when the weather is just miserable, it's miserably hot. Hydration is key, and that's where DripDrop comes into play, man. If you're on top of your hydration like me, I notice everything just works better, man. My energy's better, my mood's better, my focus, even my skin.
Sleep,
everything. But getting enough fluids every day isn't always easy, and that's why I've been doing DripDrop. So DripDrop is a doctor-developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of a leading sports drink. So what's your go-to flavor?
I'll tell you what, anything berry, anything red. I will say that. And it's not just because the colors, they've always tasted better. And I tell you what, I'm gonna ad-lib here, something I always like to remind people. One of the things I love about DripDrop more than any other thing that's in the electrolyte game, you know that electrolyte drinks, not DripDrop, but other ones that you get out of the bottle, they're 11 times worse for your teeth enamel than even soda is. Not with DripDrop. DripDrop does not do that to your teeth. Gets you hydrated, makes you feel good.
Absolutely. And the citrus flavor, they just have a generic citrus flavor, and that's my favorite. I like the kind of the citrusy stuff. So it's become my go-to. I stash a few in my backpack, put a few in the drawer at school, and everything is great. So right now, DripDrop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head to DripDrop.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege right here down below. That's DripDrop.com. Promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Stock up now before the heat hits you hard. All right, we are wrapping up, man. And in the words of the great Yogi Berra, it got late early. So we are rocking like a hurricane here on the college crossover. Locked On Gamecocks, Chris Marler, Locked On Vandy, Corey Burton. Man, we're rolling that, and it's that time, Chris. It's that time for those predictions. So Willie B, and it's 7 o'clock Eastern, right? This kickoff,
and
I
think it's 7:45.
Did it get moved? Because I saw on the schedule.
I mean, I could be wrong. I thought it was.
Yeah,
there's
probably got flexed.
3 games now that are all in the same 45-minute window, and I hate it because it confuses the crap out of me. We should definitely know the answer to this. I will say that. But either way, it's going to be nighttime in Willie B. Sandstorm playing under the lights. That place is going to be all day. All day they're going to have the tailgate and get ready. It's going to be a frenzy, man.
It is going to be a frenzy. So what's your prediction? What's going to happen?
Listen, I say this with a lot of respect for you because I love you to death and you're a great dude. But Diego Pavia running his mouth all summer long, talking about this game being circled. The lineman, number 55 or whatever his number is. I'm not even going to say his name. That guy talking trash about how they're going to come into Williams-Brice and this and that. That guy's got to go up against the best defensive college player maybe in the country in Dylan Stewart. And I say this with so much respect because I love that Vandy is doing so well, and I love the fact that they're not a doormat and they are turning that program. And Clark Lee has worked his tail off to do so. And I love Diego Pavia I think he's great for the sport. But you can talk all the trash you want on in the summer and during the week and on message boards and whatever else on social media. But Saturday night at 7 or 7:45 or whatever, they're going to tee up that ball, and you got to figure out a way to defend LaNorRIS Sellers, and you got to figure out a way to block Dylan Stewart, and you got to figure out a way to beat a host of other really, really other talented players on the team. And you had to do it in front of the most hostile environments that they've had to play in front of so far. And I listen, he had a lot of good games last year, but Carolina, Texas, and Bama were all at home. That Auburn game was at noon. You had brunch at the barn. I like this team to go win this game. I think it's close, but I got 27-23 South Carolina.
All right. Hey, and that's very, very insightful there, because the trash talk thing is a huge factor. Obviously, the environment can play a huge factor. Anyone I've ever talked to that played in the SEC, they tell me, and it shocked me the first time I heard it. Then more people started telling me, and I just actually started believing it. But like they said, it wasn't Tiger Stadium.
Yeah.
It wasn't Neyland. It was Willie B. That was the but they enjoyed it too. Like they had so much fun because just the atmosphere is just insane. But to me, I think it comes down to one thing. I think it's about execution. Mm-hmm. It's about winning on third. It's about winning first and second down to get to third manageable. It's about doing simple better. And it's about all of that. And I think Vanderbilt right now is in a better position to do that than South Carolina, because I just think they have more figured out from a coaching perspective than presumably South Carolina does. You may have it figured out, you just haven't shown it yet. And then that taste of that 28-7 beatdown, where you start off the game pretty good, your game plan out of the gates was good. Mm-hmm. You had LaNorRIS Sellers kind of neutralized. You had you had some things you were able to do. You were able to get a couple of takeaways. You were able to keep yourself in that game, and then just the dam broke, and it just avalanched and got out of control. So that game is in the back of every player on that team's mind. That entire defense is coming back from that team. They remember what happened. So they've got a little bit of juice coming with them too as well. They just conquered Lane Stadium, which I know it's not comparable to Willie B, but it is in that category of that ain't a place that you mess around with, right? So the environment thing doesn't frighten me as much as it probably would have if we lost to Virginia Tech. So I think, again, it's going to be a tight battle. It's going to be a lot of jabs, a lot of body punches early, and then I think one team's going to kind of take control, and then the other team's going to fight back. And then I think in the end, I think you're going to get a masterful drive from Diego Pavia, and the rocket launcher is going to put one through, and you're going to win 30-27.
All right. That's fair.
And I picked it. I don't know if I picked that exact same score the last time we did this, but I'm sticking to my pick.
I like it.
And the physicality of Vanderbilt just kind of leads me to believe, and the fact that I think they can do simple better is kind of where I stand on this.
I think it's a fair point.
And so that's going to be that's the keys for me. If they can do that, then I'm very, very confident in my pick. If South Carolina can prevent them from doing that, then it might be a long night. So, Chris, this has been fun, dude.
Yeah, dude.
And anytime you and I can cross over, it's always fun. And hopefully, maybe we have something in the works. Maybe we can do a crossover recap where we kind of dissect the game and talk about what we saw, especially if it's tight, especially if it's one of those epic battles like Vandy, Missouri was last year, where it went double overtime and the kicker pulled it to lose the game. But maybe we have one of those. Maybe it's one of those epic showdowns. Hopefully so. But hopefully everybody stays safe, and hopefully the environment is rocking there in Willie B. And for my sake, Vandy comes out with the win, and obviously for your sake, South Carolina prevents that from happening.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm going to go feed this dog before she yells at me or barks at me anymore. But we'll do it
Absolutely.
again
soon. Absolutely. We'll do it again soon. Like, subscribe. Locked On Gamecocks, Chris Marler. Locked On Vandy, Corey Burton. So long. See you later. Peace. Anchor down.